In this video, we're going to be looking at how one of my best performing protocols in this bear market is now launching a stablecoin peg, which is going to be giving out 50 to 60% APR year round without any impermanent loss, and add even more utility to the protocol's share token. Hey, what is up everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into another one of my videos. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Polaris Finance's new USP Stablecoin token. Now, a lot of you already know I have been with Polaris Finance since the beginning. As a matter of fact, if you do look at my videos, you guys will see I have a lot of videos on Polaris Finance. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I am still very much in Polaris, and I still love everything that the team is doing. And that's because of the fact that they are very transparent. And now what they're launching is USP. Now, before we proceed any further with this video, it is my responsibility to remind you all that none of this is financial advice, and you should always do your own research. The layout of the video is as follows. We're firstly going to be talking about USP and understanding how much it will actually pay. We're then going to be talking about the Genesis pool that is coming up on the 25th of June 2022. Thirdly, we're going to be talking about how it is going to help the Aurora EVM in general and the Near blockchain with smart routing. And lastly, we're going to end with my concluding thoughts on Polaris Finance. So jumping into the first thing that we are going to be talking about, namely USP, and understanding what it actually is. Well, as you guys can see here, long story short, meet USP, our one-to-one seniorage stablecoin pegged to the price of USDC. Now, this is obviously long awaited because people love stablecoin pegs right now. And Polaris Finance being one of the protocols that have been kind of above peg for most of their time, and as you guys can see, we are around that peg price, allows one to understand that if they do have a stablecoin peg, it is going to be beneficial for the protocol and the investors in general. Now, what is USP? As you guys can see here, it is an algorithmic stablecoin pegged via seniorage, as is every one of our assets, and its inflationary and expansion is and will be controlled by our one to rule them all governance token S-Polar. Now, if you actually head on over to the Discord, you guys can see right above right here, it says one to rule them all, which is the share token, namely S-Polar. The importance of USP is undeniable. Asking why? Let's go a little bit deeper to realize the importance of pegged assets as well as our stablecoin. So in conclusion, for the first part, we now know that USP is going to be pegged to a stable coin. The second point in regards to the Genesis pool can be seen to be detailed in their Discord. As you guys can see right here, the USP Genesis and launch, there's going to be 100,000 USP tokens that are going to be distributed in 24 hours through the Genesis pools. 50% of the allocations will be towards stablecoins, so USDC getting 30%, USDT getting 10%, USN getting 10%, and the other 50% of the token allocation will go towards the native pool, so S-Polar, Polar Near, and so on and so forth. And that's how the tokens are essentially going to be distributed. Now, if you are somebody like myself who has a lot of S-Polar or has a lot of Polar Near LP, you will obviously be moving your funds, so your S-Polar and your LPs, over to the Genesis pool area. So if you go over here, you'll hit the Dawn button up top, and here you will have two options. You'll get to the regular Dawn, or alternatively you will see the second option, which I do believe is going to be the USP Genesis pools. So you will click that, and then you will deposit whichever one of your LPs you have into their Genesis pool and earn a little bit of a higher APR generally than you would normally get in 24 hours. Now, the third thing we're going to be talking about is the smart routing. Now, this is something very important to understand because Polaris Finance is one of the biggest protocols on Aurora, and they have been developing their protocol over a long period of time. Now, if you guys actually go back and look at my videos, I was telling people to get into this protocol when their TVL was only $200,000. We have blossomed to almost 8 million TVL, at one point reaching even above 15 million TVL. And as such, this protocol has been paying out well, at least for me, and hopefully for people that have been following me on my journey in DeFi. Now, smart routing, and this is what differentiates Polaris Finance from a vanilla Tomb fork, because they are adding that utility behind their peg tokens. So what is smart routing? Well, as you can see right here, the TLDR will be routing swaps between huge L1 coins and stablecoins via our pegged assets. This is something that they did with Luna. Unfortunately, however, we all know what happened to Luna. But we did see the brilliance of smart routing, which actually reduced the price impact for Luna 3 times. So now that we understand what smart routing is, which is namely facilitating swaps between huge L1 coins and stable coins, we need to see this in action. So for example, right now, they give an example here. They give two great examples here. The first one being trading near to USDC. So for example, if you want to trade the near to USDC right now, in general, everybody understands you need to have a near and USDC pool. But let's say you don't have that pool. You can't actually trade your near for USDC without getting extremely high price impact. However, with USP, what will happen is that the transaction will be routed as such. It'll go from near to polar, because remember guys, the first pegged asset is with near, so polar is the pegged asset with near. And then go from polar to USP, which is going to be the token for Polaris Finance as well, as we mentioned above. And then go towards USDC, because USP is paired with USDC. This obviously drastically reduces the price impact for a lot of L1 tokens. The second example will actually make it much clearer. See, for example, if you guys were to bring BNB over, so if you go to Binance Smart Chain and you have a lot of BNB and you want to bring it over to Aurora and then use it here and then use it on this chain, because that is your favorite asset, for example, you actually cannot do that right now. However, with the smart routing that Polaris Finance is creating, and once they do launch their PBNB tokens, which is supposed to launch in July, what will happen is that whenever you do trade BNB on Aurora, it'll go from BNB to PBNB, PBNB to USP, and then USP to USDC. And as such, it will remove that insanely high price impact. Now, let me show you guys an example right here. This is Solaris, the main swap on Aurora. If I was to, for example, use USDC and say that I want to convert my USDC that I have on Aurora to BNB, you guys can see here, I'll get an insane price impact. It's actually ridiculous. How about 50%? Still really high. How about just $1,000? It's still 90%. How about $100? You still get a really high price impact, and that's because BNB does not have liquidity on Aurora. And that's what they are trying to solve. They're trying to bring liquidity to the EVM in order to help it develop and help it grow. Because as you guys can see here, Polaris does believe that Aurora is the best EVM running on Near, which is, in their opinion, and I quote from our previous phone calls, one of the best blockchains in the DeFi space. So now we understand what smart routing is, and the example that we gave with BNB, essentially when they are going to be creating this PBNB token or whatever it will be named, you guys can clearly understand how that will facilitate this issue that we have right now. When we do want to do this conversion in the future, and for example, I have one BNB that I want to move over, I won't get a 75% price impact, but rather it'll go from BNB to PBNB, PBNB to USB, which is the new token that we just spoke about, and then from USP to USDC, thus eliminating or reducing the price impact drastically and helping the blockchain and helping the EVM grow in a further way. And that is why I personally am an investor with Polaris Finance, because they are not a simple Tomb fork. They have much bigger plans, and as you guys can see, they are adding much more utility to their tokens, and these tokens actually have an actual reason behind it. So that concludes the third part, namely the smart routing. And now I want to come back towards the last element in regards to USP and my concluding thoughts about Polaris Finance. Well, as you guys can see here, Polaris Finance will launch USP on the 25th of June 2022, which I mentioned earlier, at 1400 UTC. which is 10 a.m. Eastern time for those of you that are on Eastern time zone. And it'll be minting for 24 hours. There'll be 5,000 USDC and 5,000 USP added in the initial liquidity pool just to allow for trading to happen for people that are interested in buying the token. So there is liquidity and that you don't get price impact, unlike BNB. And as you guys can see here, as I mentioned earlier as well, the Genesis pool allocations will be stated here. Now, it is important to understand that the APR will be much different. So if you guys actually look at the APRs that are currently offered, you can see, for example, the Polar APR is 220%. And if we scroll down, Eternal 200%, you know, you're getting really high APRs on these more low impermanent loss stable tokens. However, for USP, you'll be getting 50 to 60%. Now, I know a lot of you are kind of iffy about that, like, oh my god, it's only 50% a year. But imagine you're going to be getting this in one of the most stable protocols, in my opinion, in all of the DeFi space. These guys have held peg no matter what. They've made sure that the protocol is functioning in a proper manner. There's been very limited amounts of times where it has been under that peg. And of course, you guys can understand that if it is giving 50 to 60% APR, I do believe that the Polar rewards in the boardroom will also be a little bit less. And as such, it will cause a less pressure on USP and it will be more sustainable. And as such, we may see this being more of a long-term play for people that have more money that they want to keep somewhere safe. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, for me to see a protocol that is holding peg or around peg throughout this extreme volatility that we are getting with Bitcoin and the general crypto market, it does indeed give me that thumbs up that we will be good in the bull market as well. Now, that kind of concludes my personal thoughts on Polaris Finance and the USP token. If you guys are interested to know more, make sure you head on over to their Discord. The link will be in the description below. And if you guys aren't part of the Crypto Degen Discord, I mean, what are you guys doing? We're probably one of the best DeFi communities in all of DeFi. So I definitely suggest you guys go and join the link in the description down below. Let me know in the comments as well, guys, if you do like videos like this about more sustainable projects where you can invest with a more long-term objective, and whether or not these APRs are lucrative to you, or whether you look more for those Degen APRs. Thank you very much for watching my video, guys. I hope you all have an amazing end of the week. And as always, guys, let's get that bag. Peace.